An arctic wind is blowing from Zora's river. Do you feel it? Well, with the fire temple completed, it's time for us to change clothes. From red to blue. Because this episode we're heading up Zora's river to Zora's domain to help them with their plight. Of course, we got this blue tunic from Zora's domain when we headed there as part of the Big Goron Sword side quest. I'm not going to buy another because it's very expensive, but just to show, we used this blue fire, which use it to feel refreshing coolness, which was able to thaw King Zora. Because although all of Zora's domain is frozen in, regular ice, King Zora himself was frozen in something called red ice, which needs blue fire to thaw. Before we head up to Zora's river, I'm just going to enter this house, the one that the carpenters were building in the past, in the child era, which has since become the shooting gallery after they had to flee Castletown. But he's maintained the same interior decoration. He's moved his skull and his tiger or his jaguar head with him. And this is just the adult version of the same game we played as Child Link. Obviously this time though with a bow. But yeah, this obviously has the same reward as well. While Child Link version of this gave us a increased seed satchel, giving us more ammo for our fairy slingshot. This just does the same with the bow. It gives us a bigger quiver, which is cool. One or two quiver upgrades in the game. Oh! Almost. Well, alright, I'll let you try one more time for free. Well, since it's free, we might as well have another go. I complain about this every time that I've got to deal with the Nintendo 64 controls, but I'm sure I will, again, but man, gyro just makes this whole thing so easy, so nice. Blue, alright, now the fast reds. Oh no, not the fast reds, no, two more blues. Oh, there we go. Here's a fantastic present. And we get the big quiver, allowing us to carry 40 arrows, which is cool. Of course, there's one more quiver upgrade we can get in the game, but that won't be for a little while. But with that done, that's everything in Kakariko Village for now, so now we can head up Zora's River and see what has happened to Zora's domain. I mean, we kind of already saw what has happened in the Big Goron Sword episode, but I deliberately didn't explore too much, because I wanted to save each of the, I suppose regional phenomena is a relatively good term for it, for each respective episode. Yeah, you can kind of tell Breath of the Wild and, to a much greater extent, Tears of the Kingdom, was really pulling on the general formula of past Zelda games in the regional phenomena idea. Obviously, in many other ways, it deviates a lot from the classic Zelda formula. But Ocarina of Time, and especially Majora's Mask, actually, really has this focus on the same areas, each experiencing some sort of issue in their own way, related to elements or related to the people that live there. And Link obviously has to travel there and help them with their various woes. So obviously we've seen the Kakiri Forest became infested with enemies, and the fire temple was erupting. But anyway, I don't think I pointed out last time I was here that it's snowing up here near Zora's domain. See these snowflakes falling from the sky. See these little snowflakes falling, which is cool. But we can still open it the same way, of course, by heading up here and playing the Song of the Royal Family. Not facing the waterfall, but doesn't matter. Got a kind of area of effect on the notes of Zelda's lullaby. Playing them, of course, causes the waterfall to slumber. Yeah, and it's interesting that the waterfall itself hasn't frozen, though we'll see in a second the source of all Hyrule's water, the conditions there. So yeah, as I showed off a couple of episodes ago, the domain has frozen solid. The waterfall, big pillar of ice, and even the shop is encased in red ice, so I can't thaw that yet because I didn't shell out for the extortionate price of blue fire at the Kakariko shop twice. Although it was worth doing it once, because I didn't want to head all the way up to the ice cavern during that quest. I can't remember, what does King Zora say? Oh my dear sweet Princess Ruto, where has she gone? I'm so worried. well, just like in the child era, Princess Ruto is missing. And I guess that's our goal for this episode, is to find where she's gone. Let's not slide off. But yeah, when I was here last, I didn't grab this. There is a gold sculpture up here. Only appears here at night. Perhaps it wasn't night when I was last here. But either way, that's our 66th gold sculpture. And now we can head out behind King Zora into the source of all Hyrule's water, the Zora's Fountain, and see what's happened there. Because, unlike the others, unlike Forest Temple and Fire Temple, there is a mini dungeon we have to complete before we can access the Water Temple, which is found here in Zora's Fountain, which has frozen over, almost, like the domain itself. Zora's Fountain is colder than it was in the past. Although the water itself is still liquid here, that's why the Zora's River itself still flows all around Hyrule. You can see down there. Because when I was last here in the child era, I made the joke about all of Hyrule's water flowing underneath King Zora, but it's not strictly true. Some flows in here into Zora's domain, and obviously underneath those fishy bits. And perhaps some ends up in Lake Hylia through that tunnel, but the vast majority of the water heads down here, through this barrier, down Zora's River, and then kind of into the Castle Moat and through Gerudo Valley, etc. And so most of the Zora's Fountain is still thawed, I guess, still liquid, but there are these big icebergs floating here, and Lord Jabu Jabu, notably, is nowhere to be found. He's replaced with this big block of ice that I'm standing on now. And that's one of Ocarina of Time's big mysteries, is the whereabouts of Lord Jabu Jabu, because he's not found here. It is fine. You don't really need a lot of these ice platforms. You can kind of just climb in. Actually, maybe not this one. Maybe this one's slightly too high, and I'm getting Octorok. Let's see. Yeah, perhaps I do need to use these spinning ones to climb. I've always liked the physics, though, of these platforms. Come on, Link, you can do it. There we go. Let's not get Octoroked, and we'll make the jump. Yeah, it's that piece of heart. There's actually a second piece of heart here, but it's on the very bottom of the lake, which we can't quite reach yet, but we'll grab that. But yeah, the physics of these icebergs is quite cool. You know, they react quite realistically, I've always thought, to Link's weight. So yeah, I'm just going to swim this way now. Because I think there are some that are too high, or perhaps are tilted too much by Link's weight, but other ones you can just kind of swim into, and Link will climb. But of course, in the child era, we couldn't reach this cave because these icebergs didn't exist. But now, we can explore this place that always existed, but only as adult Link. The Ice Cavern. So, this ice cavern, it's, you know, a little bit left open to interpretation, I suppose, what this is. Well, okay, I'm getting icicle attacked. For example, whether this place was always an ice cavern, or whether it was just a normal cave which has become, like Zora's Domain and Zora's Fountain, frozen or chillier in some respect. I think that this most of the ice in here is magical in nature, in the same way as the ice elsewhere. I don't think this was always an ice cavern, though perhaps it was cold. Perhaps there was some ice. But ice such as this patterned ice here, looks a little bit like bubble wrap, but we can assume, I think, that this is magical. And of course, these monsters formed from ice are as well. These guys are called Freezards. I'll get Navi to examine them in a second. And I've always kind of, I'm not sure if it's just me looking into it, but I've always seen them as kind of having a bearded face, you know, like a beard made of ice there, a little bit like the Great Deku Tree. I'm not sure where the Zard comes for in their name. I'll get Navi to examine them now. Freezard, watch out for its freezing breath. Destroy it completely before it revives. And yeah, you need to smash them like that before they try and ice breath you. Of course, in Twilight Princess, we saw Freezards, but they were definitely much more reptilian. They were kind of these big, icy frost dragons, you know, whereas these are a little bit less clear on what they are. Navi's turned green here. Is this a Song of Storms one? Let me have a look. It might be. Again, I can never remember which song does the secrets, but let's have a look. Song of Storms. It is! And Okay, this is another one of these big fairies. So I'm gonna try again to put it in a bottle, but I'm really, really sure you can't. Okay, let's pull out bomb. I don't think that's just... I don't think that's me lining it up wrong. I don't think you can put it in a bottle. But yeah, they heal not only your health, but also your magic, which is quite cool. But anyway, well, there you go. Anyway, we need a lot of empty bottles throughout this dungeon because, like Kakariko Village in the potion shop, this is a source of blue ice. Blue ice? Well, it is, but also blue fire. And I think we can assume that this is kind of where blue fire comes from. Perhaps people from the potion shop travelled out to collect it from here. And you'll see why I think that in a minute or two. But first we need to grab all of these silver rupees. I believe this is the first set of silver rupees we've seen in the game. I don't think there are any others in the forest or fire temple. These feel a little bit Mario 64 to me. You know, kind of collect a group of things to proceed. But we jump in here to grab the last one. I think it's mainly the sound effect that makes me think of Mario 64. The like do like that. Which is cool, but we'll be coming back to this room in a second. Why does Navi... I don't think you can... Surely you can't break that. I don't know why she's gone green on that. No. Okay, right. I'm not sure why she's gone green on that. If you know, let me know in the comments. Maybe she just lets you focus on it because it's technically an enemy? Because you can't get any readings from it. Strange. But yeah, we'll be coming back to this room in a second. This is kind of like a hub area. There's two branching paths here. There's one there and one there, but they're both obscured, of course, by red ice. But in here, this is where... Well, actually, need to head through this corridor first. Get rid of the Freezard. Avoid the spike traps. And in here, the big chamber, this is where we can collect some blue fire. So, actually, wait. I forgot. This is a room full of my favourite guys. Last episode was a bad episode for me when it came to these keys. So I'm just gonna take some precautions and try and snipe these guys. There we go. And I think there's a Freezard somewhere floating around the bottom floor. Here he is. Yeah, get rid of this guy as well. Just make sure I'm not getting frozen for no reason. Jump attack that guy. And hop over here. Yeah. Here we have blue fire. So the one we bought in the Kakariko potion shop was just a little candle, which perhaps could have been a callback to Zelda 1 with the blue candle in its design. Actually, I want Navi to read that. This blue fire, it doesn't seem natural. Maybe you can use it for something. But in here, you've just got a big flame kind of on a little plinth or pedestal. I'm actually going to get rid of my trusty bugs. I feel a little bit bad. It's got to be some kind of animal abuse keeping bugs in a bottle for 7 years. Because they've stayed with us since the child era. I've let them go. This is blue fire. This is a cool flame you can use. So again, like it said in the potion shop, where it said cooling freshness or refreshing coolness or something like that. This, again, you know, confirms that this is a cool flame rather than a hot flame like you'd expect. So this stuff, this red ice, perhaps it isn't cold in the same respect as like other ice, the ice all around us in the ice cavern, and perhaps the red ice is just some sort of magical barrier, perhaps just called red ice because of its icy texture. But the fact that we can melt it only with blue fire, which isn't hot, suggests that it's not working, you know, the same way as other ice would. And yeah, we get the dungeon map from that, which is really interesting. Of course, blue fire returned later on in the series, much later on, all the way in the far, far future of the Zelda timeline, in Breath of the Wild, where blue fire has kind of been harnessed by the Sheikah in some way, because we see it powers a lot of their technology. Of course, their technology is powered by something called ancient energy, which is this kind of mysterious blue glowing thing, often represented as a liquid, but then with the ancient furnaces, which are found near the tech labs, it's shown as some sort of flame. You know, you have to carry the flame, in fact, to light the ancient furnaces. and you get this blue flame, which can do all sorts of weird things. You know, when you have a torch lit with blue flame in Breath of the Wild, if you touch the blue flame to Cryonis blocks, it will shatter them. It will also, yeah, it'll do various things, which is really interesting. That it perhaps calls back all the way back to Ocarina of Time, where you see this cool flame, which is in some way magical, found in the ice cavern. And we'll use a little bit more here. Is that a Keese? I'm on the edge of my seat always to get, always ready to get dive bombed by Keese. We'll empty some more blue flame here and get ourselves another piece of heart, which is very cool. Because yeah, the ice cavern, although it is, there was some ice here before. We learn later on. We learn from Sheik that the ice here isn't natural. In the same way that the ice in Zora's Domain isn't natural. And it's actually because of whatever beast has taken up, taken root, I guess, in the water temple. That's what's caused all of these various issues. Let's fill up another bottle, why not, with blue flame. Because we need one more on the left, and then, yeah, a couple more. 2 bottles will do. Okay, shall I bow? No, let's hookshot, okay. Because these guys they seem to be playing nice and just hanging on the walls. Oh, can I thread the needle? There we go. But yeah, whatever beast is in the water temple is what has caused all of these issues, because it has control over water. And obviously ice is just frozen water, so it makes sense that all of this traces back to what we find there. But then as for red ice, perhaps that is something more magical. Maybe that was Ganondorf directly, because we don't see... I'm going to grab another one just to be sure. Because we don't see any red ice later on in the water temple, unless I'm really misremembering. I don't think there's any blue fire. There's definitely no blue fire, but I also don't think there's any red ice. That's only found here and in Zora's Domain. Which is really interesting, so perhaps that isn't to do with the boss of the water temple. Perhaps that's Ganondorf. And yeah, we're using this magical fire to melt through it. But heading through here. This will lead through to the main room, the kind of main puzzle room of the ice cavern, and it's the kind of final room we have to do. It really isn't long. Kind of takes 10 minutes to get through this thing. It's cool though. It's the only sort of mini dungeon that we have to do directly before a main temple. Up to this point, of course, later on, the Spirit Temple split into child and adult halves, which is incredible. But of course the Shadow Temple does have a required mini-dungeon before it, at least to get a certain item. You don't actually have to explore all of the rooms, like we do in this one. Ooh, I'm glad I managed to hit that and it didn't, to tank that with my shield, it didn't find a way around it, like Keese so often seem to do to me. Why have I hopped up here? But yeah, this is another Silver Rupees room, but before that, we'll just grab our 3rd gold Skulltula. And like the child dungeons, this only has 3 gold Skulltulas, whereas all of the adult dungeons have 5. So, not even counting the other Skulltula I picked up in Zora's Domain, we'll be getting at the very least 8 Skulltulas this episode. So it'll be a pretty good one on the gold Skulltula front, which is cool. Do I push that back? No, I'm going to get rid of this. So this is our first sliding ice block puzzle. In a 3D Zelda game. Of course, this also happened in A Link to the Past, featured sliding ice block puzzles. Zelda 1 had sliding blocks, but not really on the same level as these. And then when I think of sliding, especially ice block puzzles, I always think of Snow Peak Ruins in Twilight Princess off the top of my head. The Minish Cap has sliding block puzzles. It's kind of a little bit of a Zelda staple, but it's cool that this is the first one in a 3D game. Of course, because it's the first 3D game. But it's just cool to see that it appeared all the way back here in Ocarina of Time. I thought I spaced that badly. I'm very glad I lined that up okay. But yeah, speaking of kind of unnatural ice, the floor in here has always confused me, where it's these tiles. Like the other rooms had hexagons, but this is a pattern of square tiles, which doesn't seem like a natural ice formation, although... I don't know, ice can make strange patterns. This seems very uncommon. This doesn't seem like a natural formation. But, as we know, this isn't really a natural place, as we'll find out quite soon. Just need to make sure I don't mess up the sliding blocks. I think we push this one this way. Cool. This silver rupee on the right, we don't even need the block for. We can just head up. And then we can push this way. See, Navi goes up there and turns green, just floating in the air. And this is one of the game's stranger Song of Time blocks. Again, you know, I'm not going to stop saying it. I'm going to say it every time I do this, that this is an example of a mechanic that's not really used to its fullest extent. Like, we're just meant to understand that Navi turns green, so it spawns these blocks, but it spawns the little ones as well, which, you know, very weird. But of course, what's actually happening there is in the Child Era's Ice Cavern, which is completely unexplorable. There are... those Song of Time blocks would have been found there, and then we've just summoned them to the adult timeline with the Song of Time. But that's how we get over there for the Blue Flame. I will actually pick one more up, because I want to thaw up the Zora shop, which I believe is also red-iced. I won't... why not? I've got an empty bottle. I don't need any more blue fire, but why not? I'll pick up another one. Just because it's magical. And now we push this block over here. And then I think just to the right, and that's done this room. And then, that's pretty much the Ice Cavern done. There's a... calling it a boss is probably a grandiose term. I suppose it's a mini-boss for a mini-dungeon. That makes sense. We can hop up here, avoid the... I suppose then... Whoa. They're not stalactites because they're made of ice. I suppose they're just icicles. Oh, I did need more blue fire. Okay, nice. Alright, so I did need to grab two. That makes me feel better. To thaw these out. And then we head through to the final room of the Ice Cavern. I think this whole place... I'm really, really excited to see this whole place in the remake. Just because, you know, it's a really cool environment. Whereas this icy cavern, I guess. Well, the name probably is a bit of a clue for that. But yeah, this in just high fidelity Switch 2 graphics will just look absolutely amazing. But if you've played Ocarina of Time before, if you remember the Ice Cavern, you'll know this room I'm about to head into. This will just look next level on the Switch 2. So let's head through. Look at this place. So I'm not really sure. I suppose this is kind of meant to be ice crystals, like the walls are light, kind of, there's a word for that. It's not parallax, where kind of mirrors keep reflecting into infinity. I don't think it's parallax, it's another word, but it's similar to that. I suppose it's meant to be an ice crystal room. You see all these crystals around, and that's what we're meant to be seeing, is kind of light reflected so many times it becomes almost like the night sky, almost like a room of stars. This will just look amazing. But this is a boss, sort of. This is a white Wolfos. Lure it close to you and watch its movement carefully. Attack it when it drops its guard. So it's a bigger version of the Wolfos enemies we've fought before, but it can be beaten the same way. So you just wait for it to attack, and then you can, well, I mean, you can one-shot it if you've got the big Goron sword. So it's not a tough boss, but cool design, I suppose, and one of the best boss arenas, if you can call it that, in the Zelda series. Just so cool. But this is the whole reason we needed to head here to the Ice Cavern. We need this item to even enter the Water Temple, let alone complete it. The Iron Boots. So heavy you can't run, so heavy you can't float. We meet again, Link. If you came here to meet the Zoras, you wasted your time. This is all there is. With one exception, the Zoras are now sealed under this thick ice sheet. I managed to rescue the Zora princess from under the ice, but she left to head for the Water Temple. This ice is created by an evil curse. The monster in the Water Temple is the source of the curse. Unless you shut off the source, this ice will never melt. If you have courage enough to confront the danger and save the Zoras, I will teach you the melody that leads to the temple. Time passes, people move. Like a river's flow, it never ends. A childish mind will turn to noble ambition. Young love will become deep affection. The clear water's surface reflects growth. Now, listen to the serenade of water to reflect upon yourself. So Sheik there confirmed that the ice here is not natural. It is, in fact, because of a curse. A curse that we will break in the Water Temple, Ocarina of Time's most notorious dungeon, and you'll see why as we play through it. Okay, it all went black. I wondered what had happened there. But we get a gorgeous look at these ice crystals. With Sheik's dialogue there about reflection, this room makes a lot of sense. We see the walls reflecting light over and over again, and we learn the Serenade of Water. Link, I'll see you again. Yet again, she causes us probable permanent eyesight damage and Deku Nuts to escape. But yeah, one more little look around this place. Imagine this on the Switch 2. Incredible. But yeah, we've got the Iron Boots, which this is, I don't agree with a lot of criticism of the Water Temple, but the main one is one I completely understand and completely agree with, which is the fact that to take the Iron Boots on and off, you have to pause and go into the gear subscreen, which really breaks the, no pun intended, flow of the Water Temple, and is one of the things that makes it very, very tedious. Something that the 3DS version fixed. Of course, the Switch 2 version will have no such issues. But yeah, other than that, I think it's quite enjoyable. But before we do that, we're going to head all the way to the bottom of Zora's River. With the Iron Boots, we can sink down. Now this always terrified me. Still does. This feels very much like heading down into the bottom of Jolly Roger Bay in Mario 64. There aren't many things that I'd say I'm really genuinely terrified of, but deep open water is one of them. So especially kind of on the Nintendo 64, it's also dark. I suppose it doesn't help that it's night. What's Navi saying? Those iron boots look like they weigh a ton. If you wear those boots, you may be able to walk at the bottom of a lake. You think so? Really? Well, thank you, Oh, I'd have never guessed. Thank you for telling me that, on the bottom of a lake. But yeah, I don't like deep water. I don't like deep open water. And yeah, this spooks me out. I think that in the whole Legend of Zelda series, the times that really get to me in that regard, that really leave me feeling kind of unsettled, is I don't like that for some reason, even though it's not kind of one of the worst examples. In Majora's Mask, I need to go all the way around. In Majora's Mask, heading to the bottom of the Zora Bay, you fight those eels. I don't like that. And in Twilight Princess, like heading down to fight Morpheal. Morpheal's boss chamber is, that's nightmare fuel for me. But yeah, let's head back into Zora's Domain, because I did grab that extra blue ice so we can thaw out the shop. I'm not going to buy anything, because like with Goron City, I could buy the water tunic here, the blue tunic, if I hadn't already. But because I've already got it, there's no need to do that. The reason I'm throwing it out is just because I feel bad for the guy trapped here, and I want to talk to him. I want to see what his dialogue option is. Because although Sheik said all Zora bar one are trapped under the ice, well, actually, I suppose this guy is technically trapped under the ice, just not under the sheet of ice that's there. But we can head into the Zora shop. What have you got to say? Welcome! You say you want to buy a Zora tunic? That tunic is made of the finest material, and is therefore exceedingly expensive. In fact, I'm afraid only that very rich family in Kakariko Village can afford this fine garment. How much is it? 300. Well, we could buy it if we want to, but we've already got it. No comments there on the situation in Zora's Domain or anything. It's a little bit strange, but interesting that the Skulltula family in Kakariko Village are apparently so famous. Even the Zora know of them. Even this Zora in the Zora shop know of them and their vast wealth. But yeah, cool. Right, glad we talked to you. So now, I suppose, we could head down Zora's River, or we could play our new song to head directly to Lake Hylia. So it is, what was it? That's it, yeah. To play the Serenade of Water, which will warp us directly to Lake Hylia. Let's do it. With the ice cavern completed, nothing stands in our path. It's time to break this curse, to fix all of the water-related issues in Hyrule. Because, yeah, Zora's Domain's frozen. The ice cavern is full of ice, I guess. And Lake Hylia is drained. It was, you know, completely full up there in the child era. You see, even the fishing hole is kind of stranded now on a little island over there. But the water temple, which was found right at the very bottom, I suppose still is, the only bit where there's still any water here is where we can find the water temple. And this is why we needed the iron boots to reach it. We need the iron boots and we need the hook shot. So putting on the iron boots allows us to sink down here where we find this gate on the lake bed. And you can use the hook shot underwater to hit this switch thing, which is kind of embedded in... I mean, I guess it's a shell. It looks like a conical shell. It really looks like some of these shells that the Great Fairies fountains are hidden in the Wind Waker. You know, those islands. But yeah, we released that. And this is really cool. I've always liked this mechanism. So as the gate rises, this, I guess, counterweight to the portcullis here is allowed to float to the surface. And, you know, see, it's shaped like a fish. It's got a little tail. Because I'm not going to take my iron boots off because I'll have to pause to put them back on. But every time I play this game, still, after I've completed the water temple, you know, I'll perhaps play the Serenade of Water and be on that island. And I'll just look and I'll see this thing floating in the lake and I'll be very confused. And I'll forget what it is. What's this thing floating in the lake? Until I remember that it's the thing you release from here to open the way into the water temple. But you see, it's not only got a fish tail, you can see it does also have a face on it there. Like, let's try and hit it with a hook shot to kind of point at exactly where I'm talking about. So where the hook shot's going now, see there's 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, which is really interesting. But I'm not stalling for the water temple, I promise. Let's head in to Ocarina of Time's 3rd adult dungeon. So here we are. Our first pause of 1,000 million billion pauses. We enter the water temple. So despite its infamy, I've always found that this place is really beautiful. You see, it's all lit with, what Light Sheik was saying, with the reflections of the surface of water. So the whole thing is this labyrinthian structure built into this cave. So above us is the island with that lone tree, with the pedestal where we warp to with the Serenade of Water. So we're inside that central island of Lake Hylia here, but it extends down further into the depths. This central column with all these side rooms off to the side, and of course, Tektites. But before we do anything else, we put on our water boots, put on our iron boots again, and we sink all the way to the bottom. So the thing with the water temple is it involves kind of working your way through and collecting a lot of keys, and there are multiple instances where we can change the level of the water. So right now it's at the highest level, and the area we're in is underwater. But later on we'll change that, so this area will be, the water will be at the very bottom. So this will be dry land. And the areas where it gets difficult is if you miss a step, if you miss a key, or change the water at the wrong time. Backtracking through the water temple can be difficult and you can get lost. But if you follow it the way it's meant to be done, and if you don't make a wrong turn or whatever, it's not too bad. But anyway, let's head through here to meet a familiar face from our past. Oh, you. If I'm right, Link? You're Link, aren't you? It's me, your fiancé, Ruto, Princess of the Zoras. I never forgot the vows we made to each other 7 years ago. You're a terrible man to have kept me waiting for those 7 years. But now is not the time to talk about love. I'm sure you've already seen it. Zora's domain, totally frozen. A young man named Sheik saved me from under the ice, but my father and the other Zoras have not yet. I want to save them all. I want to save Zora's domain. You have to help me. This is a request from me, the woman who is going to be your wife. Link, you have to help me destroy the evil monster in the temple, okay? Inside the water temple, there are 3 places where you can change the water level. I'll lead the way. Follow me, quickly. And away Ruto goes. And curiously, even though we're going to follow her, that's the last we see of her until the very end of the temple, until we meet her again in the Chamber of Sages. So I don't know where she's meant to have gone, because, you know, we'll see in a second. There aren't many places that she could have vanished off to, but vanished she has. But yeah, after her, let's follow and enter this room, where we get some very annoying enemies. What are these called, Navi? Spike. Aim for it when it retracts its spikes. So these are kind of these spiked rolling balls, and you can hit them once to turn them into rocks. I guess rocks? You don't change, do you? No. But then they can come out of their rocky shells, I guess. Okay, I'm getting beaten up by this guy. So I guess they are meant to be sort of organic life, you know, maybe something like a pufferfish or whatever, and that the spike is a defensive form they take. Who knows? But grab that bomb and open the chest. I believe this is the dungeon map we get at the very start. Yeah, it won't be the compass before the map, will it? Yeah, the map. So let's have a little look. Obviously, it won't make 100% sense before we have the compass, but you can kind of have a look through. So you see there are various... There's 4 floors in total. And we can... yeah, no, I'm good for saving. That's an interesting symbol here. I've never really known what to make of this, except it does look eerily similar to the dungeon's boss, to Morpha, the boss of the Water Temple, which is curious considering that Morpha itself is probably a creation of Ganondorf. But still, other symbols we can see here. There's kind of a yin and yang symbol there, which obviously is more closely associated with the Spirit Temple. But considering Sheik's dialogue about reflections and the whole theme of reflections throughout this place, yin and yang, of course, being a reflection of one another, we'll see there's a very explicit example of dark reflections later on. So it's not, not unusual to see that sort of symbol throughout here. But the Triforce symbol, of course, can only mean one thing. That means a connection to the Hyrulean royal family. So, playing Zelda's Lullaby. Will will lower the water level, allowing us to access new areas we otherwise could not have. Jump all the way down here. Again, for some reason we don't take any fall damage. Not sure why, but not complaining. But yeah, the Zora and the Gorons are both shown to have a very strong relationship with the Hyrulean royal family. Although we don't really know much about the details of the Hyrulean Civil War, which took place before Ocarina of Time. I also actually need to point that out. There's kind of a serpentine design there on the bottom of that pillar. As we proceed through the dungeon, we'll see a lot of dragon motifs and symbols as well, which is really interesting considering that there's no dragon here. It's not like Volvagia in the Fire Temple, which is cool. Although there is, again, Morpha, the boss, does have technically serpentine forms, even though its actual true body is not a serpent at all. But yeah, I hate these guys. So these are shell blades. So yeah, you need to either use the bow or the hook shot, because these only become vulnerable when you're very close to them, and only for a second, and then they lunge at you. Yeah, I hate these guys. What was I saying? Yeah, so although we don't know much about the Hyrulean Civil War that took place before the game, like, as in we don't know the factions. Not a bomb. We don't know the factions that fought in this conflict. We can assume that the Zora and probably the Gorons were on the side of Hyrule, on the side of the royal family, whereas perhaps the Gerudo were not. And, you know, signs point to them having a very close relationship all throughout the game. There we get our first small key, which I actually turned on the HUD for the small keys in this because it's not too obtrusive. I had them off in the fire temple and the water temple, but I don't think it's too obtrusive having the HUD for small keys on, because it only appears when you have a small key, so it'll only appear for little bits throughout the dungeon. And places like the water temple, very nice to keep track of my small keys, of course, so I don't get lost. But yeah, the Hyrulean royal family has a close relationship with the Zoras and the Gorons. I'd be very, very surprised if they were against the king during that conflict. And things like their symbol being found all throughout the water temple, you know, a good sign that of their previous relationship. As for what the water temple was used for, you know, how we have various different theories on what the different dungeons were used for. The water temple is perhaps the most mysterious in terms of its original purpose. Like the fire temple and the forest temple, we do have a line of dialogue referencing these vague spirits, water spirits, that Kaepora Gaebora says that the Zora worship here at the water temple. So I think it was in the Child era. Of course it was in the Child era. We spoke to Kaepora Gaebora on the island, or near the island on that bridge. And he said that the Zora worship at the temple at the lake bottom. They worship the water spirit here. So this is, of course, a very sacred place. A bit like the fire temple, meant for reverence of the element of water itself, but also these mysterious spirits. Here's one of these dragon statues that I was talking about here. If I can just get a good look at that. Okay, that's a very bad... We'll get a clearer look at dragon statues as we go throughout. So outside of it being used as a place of worship for the Zora, any other uses for this place are a little bit shrouded in mystery. Perhaps more so than the other dungeons. Especially the later two. So after this, the two remaining adult dungeons have a little bit more lore to them, I think, than the Water Temple. Perhaps it's the skinniest in the terms of the lore. But still, in terms of the atmosphere and general design, it's probably up there as one of my favourites. But yeah, as long as you don't get lost. And I find, yeah, as long as you kind of go with the flow, as long as you tackle it in the order it wants it to be tackled in, it's not too bad. Although it has, yeah, become a bit of an infamous dungeon among Zelda dungeons. In fact, this was designed by Eiji Aonuma, who's gone on to become the director of the Zelda series. This was, in fact, one of... I don't know how many dungeons he designed, but he definitely designed the Water Temple. And in the late 2000s, I want to say maybe 2009-ish, he went on record, a little bit kind of tongue-in-cheek, but he went on record as apologising for the Water Temple, saying he could have made it clearer or something like that. But okay, let's get that Tektite. I don't think it needs... I don't think any apology is necessary for the Water Temple, personally. I think it's really, really great, but yeah, other people may disagree, especially if you get lost in this place, it can be unfun. You know, a lot of people have kind of believed to have soft-locked their accounts in these watery halls, even though it's not really possible to soft-lock your account here in terms of... a lot of people will miss a small key and then believe that they've soft-locked themselves. There, that's a really clear dragon symbol there. It's awesome. So yeah, it's another puzzle room, so we need to whack on our iron boots. And drop down. All the way to the bottom here. So yeah, we got this dragon kind of coiled around this vortex of water down here. So I want to use the hook shot, hit that crystal. And then it only got a couple of seconds, but if I can line this up... Is that going to do it? No. Oh, maybe I think I've messed up the timing on that. We've got to go back. It's all good. Never good at lining up. If it's lining up the bow or the hook shot, if I can't use Z targeting, I'm kind of buggered. I'm not great. Okay, there we go. We can head up here. Got some more of my favourite dudes, but I'm gonna just go into the room with them because I don't want to get locked out. Come on, show me your tongue, muscle, whatever it is. Yeah, heading through here. Take the water boots off to float up. And yeah, this is, like I've already said, the water mechanics here using the iron boots is definitely the most tedious part of this dungeon. I think that actually is something specific that they did mention that they should have fixed, or they should have found another way around doing that, which maybe, yeah, I'd accept Eiji Aonuma's apology for that. Not for anything kind of, you know, on the design of this place, which I think is really great. But yeah, maybe if he wants to apologise for that, for making us pause to put on the boots and take off the boots, then that's fair enough. Let's not... Okay, get vortexed around. So now we've collected 2 keys. We can proceed... Let's head into the central chamber. Let's not get tech-tighted. And of course we can just hook shot our way across there. I suppose another thing that I don't love too much about the Water Temple, compared to perhaps some of the other dungeons in the game, is I find that the dungeon item here is probably the most boring out of every dungeon item, in that it's just a straight upgrade to one we've already got, so it doesn't feel like anything new or special. Similar to in Twilight Princess, where in the City in the Sky, you just get a second hook shot to make the double claw shots, which, I mean, while cool, like the double claw shots are an awesome item, it just feels a little bit like, I don't know, maybe lazy is probably the wrong term, but a bit boring, I think, that you just get that. But here we need to not do that. I'm not sure why didn't I grab onto that? That was really strange. Let's try that. Let's try that again. I was about to say we need to Spider-Man our way up, but I just, yeah, completely messed up. So we can change the water here again, and then we'll head through there. But before we do that, I actually think I might need the long shot to get that Skulltula. Or maybe I do it after I change the water. Either way, when we change the water, we need to be aware that there's a very easy small key to miss here. So this is one that I suppose perhaps people miss and then believe they've become soft locked. So when we play Zelda's Lullaby here, it raises the water, but it lifts that block, which raises all the way up here. So that's something that you could easily miss. You could think, oh, that's floated up to be a platform for us to walk on or something. But from where the block was, reveals a secret bottom area down here. And this isn't optional. This isn't like an optional side area. This is actually completely mandatory, because this is another small key down here. And if you don't get this, then you're kind of stuck. But yeah, if you do this, and also actually, to be fair, after this, there's another little bit of backtracking we need to do, which is all the way back at the start where there was, well, that's a bit intimidating, all those spikes. All the way back at the start, there was the kind of column area where Ruto headed up. She swam up, apparently, to see us later, but never returned. In there was a bombable wall, but you can only access that when the water's on the middle level. So I need to kill these clam things. Come here. No. You've only got a very small window. I hate these guys. Come on. And turn around. Alright, I need to get a better look. Come on, turn around. Show your... There we go. And then what, is there one more? I want another spike. Come here. Alright, I'm going to let you hit my shield. Right, reveal your weakness. Turn around. There we go, finally. And that opens the other grate up here, so yet another pause, yet another removal of the old iron boots. And we can float up here to grab another small key. So yeah, if we didn't have that, it gets quite annoying. So if you miss this one, you can head all the way through the dungeon and then realise, oh, you know, I'm a small key down and I don't know where it is, and you have to reset the water back to get back here. That's where the Water Temple is difficult, and I do see why it has the reputation it does have. It's more so if you kind of do everything right, it feels really nice, but it's so easy to make this a really difficult, awkward experience for yourself. And because of that, you know, it is. I don't know where it would rank in my listings, in my rankings for Ocarina of Time dungeons. It is definitely not one of the greatest dungeons in this game, but nor do I think it's like a bottom tier Zelda dungeon. But yeah, we can. Which way is that way is north. So if we head this way, back to the chamber with Ruto. Now we put on our iron boots. So again, this is like another thing that feels like if you didn't remember that there was that bombable wall on the middle layer in this chamber. So like when we came through here, we met Ruto, and then we floated up. And obviously we floated all the way up to the top where we changed the water. But now that the water level's here, we can access this. So again, you know, that's another one where if we didn't remember that, it would have been very difficult, would have involved a lot of backtracking. But here we go. Anyway, grab our third small key. So we've got three stacked up now, which is exactly what we need. And now we can actually start to make some real progress in the dungeon. So let's head back to the main room. Yeah, and it's not a huge... there aren't huge amounts of stuff left to do in this dungeon. It's not one of the longest ones. Again, if you do it all in the right order. But let's float up here. Now we've got 3 small keys. Let's not get stuck under there. Whoa, a diving Tektite. We can actually start to use them. So let's hop up here. Yeah, now we're on the second layer. Just like with the first layer, we can kind of just work our way round. And there's various other things. Obviously, we will end up using a lot of small keys to proceed through various paths. But there is also over here. I think this is the compass. I think so. There's these cool like spikes that look like dragon's teeth. Again, with this kind of dragon theme throughout this temple, which is really, really interesting because we don't know what these water spirits that are mentioned so often, well, I suppose once by Gibora Gabora actually. We don't know what they're meant to look like, but considering all the dragon motifs, it wouldn't surprise me if that was kind of their design. But anyway, let's open the chest to grab the compass. So now we can actually use the map, you know, which is cool. I'm gonna grab a couple of these. Replenish up to full hearts. Why not? And we drop down here. Okay, and land on spikes and make our replenishing completely pointless. Brilliant. Let's head back to the main chamber. And now we can go through the other side where there was that the small key. We'll open that up now. So let's hop across the water. So this red block here, this floats depending on the water level, which is quite cool. So like when we raise the water up, that block will float up to the top floor. So here, you stand on this and you hit that. But I've been here before. Yes, this guy. I've been got by this before. And I've like raised myself up and then been sniped by a falling Tektite, which isn't never fun. Except for the Tektite. He probably enjoys it. That's what they like doing. Just kind of trolling you. Yeah, we can ride this up to the next floor. Which brings us up here. And I don't believe there's anything else in here other than a door which leads to this, which allows us to raise the water to the top level, which is great. And then we'll be able to proceed and finally unlock the dungeon item, which unlocks a whole lot more, just kind of more areas throughout the water temple, areas that we couldn't reach before. Whoa! Okay, I fully thought I was gonna get hit by that. For example, over here, that's where the boss is. We can't reach that because our hook shot. I'm not really sure why I'm showing this off, but our hook shot doesn't reach this target. And I think this one, no, there's somewhere where you need the long shot as well, where you shoot a target with an arrow. But that's a little bit later on. But with 2 small keys, we can head through this area into this big room. First off, I'm going to get rid of the keys because otherwise they're just going to, you know, do keys things and annoy me. There is a sculpture here that we can't grab because it's again, something that we need a longer version of our hookshot for. Ow. And now this area is somewhere I always feel like I'm going to mess up. So, can you jump that? Surely you can jump that. Or have I've mistimed that? Let's get here. Okay, phew. But yeah, this room we need to use the hookshot to kind of climb these stairs almost. I'll just take the next one. Are you coming down? Yeah, so this is kind of like a timed hookshot thing. So again, this is sometimes, you know, I kind of wish I had motion controls. You know, I've felt that a lot throughout this playthrough. again, that's something, you know, the graphics or whatever other changes they add to the Switch 2 version. But above all, I just can't wait for motion controls. Like I told you in the shooting gallery, I said I'd complain about it again. But it's just like the micro adjustments you can make that when you play, you know, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Wind Waker HD, or the 3D versions of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, you really can't go back, especially to the Nintendo 64 versions. They just feel really clunky. But yeah, here is actually, this is a really cool puzzle room. I'm just going to get rid of these Tektites, otherwise I know these are going to annoy me later. But I've always loved this little room in particular, just as a kind of nice little self-contained puzzle. It feels like the kind of puzzle you'd imagine appearing in A Link to the Past sort of thing. Although obviously this one uses verticality, so I guess maybe maybe like a Tower of Hera sort of thing. But it involves using the hookshot to traverse our way around this room. Across these dragon statues, but we need to repeatedly hit the switch in the middle to raise and lower them as we go. So like I've had to lower this one here, so we can hop back over here, which allows us to climb, climb over this dragon statue. But now of course we're going to need to raise it again over there, so we've got a hookshot target. But then in a second we'll have to lower it again so we can climb on that and use that as a kind of a lift, an elevator to get out of this room. So it's cool. It's just always stood out to me as a really neat little puzzle. Doesn't require anything else. It's just kind of a self-contained Zelda puzzle, which, you know, that's one thing Ocarina of Time just does so well, is these little moments. One thing it doesn't do well is Tektites, which I just hate. And likes, which I'm not hugely fond of. But this one, luckily, he's waiting in a really annoying spot. So right above him, there's the hookshot target. So he's waiting there to feast on our shield and our tunic. But we can, luckily, we can just bomb this guy, so we don't have to deal with him at all. But anyway, here, where, you know, this chamber here, flanked by two dragon statues, again with that particular symbol above the door. We'll enter into one of the most iconic places in the Legend of Zelda. So the temple gives way and apparently opens out into this great still lake. There's a lone island with a tree with its reflection in the still water, and various ruins of the temple around us. And you see, as we step out into the water, you can see Link's reflection too underneath him in this calm pool. Perfect mirror. And as we step onto the island and step off, you'll notice Link's reflection is gone. And if we look back at the island, his reflection stands, staring. So this is the mini-boss of the Water Temple, Dark Link. Conquer yourself. So this is probably the most iconic Zelda mini-boss, in that this is a dark mirror of Link. So I'll show what he does with the Master Sword, because the way Dark Link works is he'll copy your moves, or lunge. If we lunge, he'll jump onto the Master Sword blade, which is really cool. And he starts off relatively translucent, like we saw on the island at the start of the fight. But it is cool that as we proceed through the fights, he'll get darker and more opaque, almost as if, you know, from fighting Link, from learning, he's becoming more real. We can also use Din's fire. That's a good way to damage him. Although I think he just retreated. I don't think that even hit him. I think he avoided that. Okay, all right. So that is a good way to damage him. Same with the Big Goron sword. You'll notice I wasn't Z targeting for a lot of that. I want to just wait to see him get more opaque. Yeah, I wasn't Z targeting for a lot of that fight, and that's because if you do, it's much harder to hit him. You'll often clash swords if you Z target. But if you don't, if you just kind of swing, you'll often land the hits. But yeah, he's much darker now. Let's see if this Din's fire hits him. Okay, right, that knocked him out. But yeah, such a cool fight. And, you know, I've always thought, considering this dungeon is about water and reflections, as Sheik says, and we learned that the boss has power over water, and reflection is a property of water, You know, it's quite cool. It's using one of the lesser known, that's a cool symbol as well, the lesser thought about, I guess, properties of water to create such an iconic mini-boss. But anyway, now we're done with that, we can grab the dungeon's item, which is something of an upgrade. The long shot. It's an upgraded hook shot and extends twice as far, which is really cool. Yeah, so, well, I mean, like it said, it's a hook shot, but it goes twice as far, which is awesome. You know, it gives us so much more we can do throughout this dungeon. Just unlocks a ton of other areas now. I just love this room, especially, you know, it's cool that it was kind of a mirage. But where am I going? Okay. Yeah, we need to go back into the hook shot, the long shot room. I got distracted by the cool room and I was continuing. But yeah, we can go over here where there is a Song of Time block, revealing, or hiding, I guess, a secret passageway into a kind of cool river area of the dungeon, which we'll see in a second. This is the water temple. You know, there's a lot of water flows through this place. And if we drop down here, we find an underground river, which I guess is... don't get swallowed by the vortexes. I guess this is where a lot of the water comes from. You know, maybe this is kind of an offshoot from Zora's river, considering that the domain is meant to be the source of all Hyrule's water. But heading down here, you know, there's a few other things we can grab, and this kind of leads back out. I might actually just see show off what happens when we void out here. You just respawn in this room. But still, you know, they're interesting little hazards, these vortexes that are all throughout the rivers, the river. But yeah, there's a couple of things to grab here, namely a skulltula and eventually a small key, which is the whole reason we're doing this, you know, rather than just going the other way around. So I'll grab my, put my boots on so I can, you know, get some solid ground. Why isn't my... Oh, okay, right. Wasn't sure why my long shot wasn't appearing then. But we'll grab this one, which is... if I can line it up. Number 71. Awesome. Okay, so that's... is that the second I think we've done so far in this dungeon? So a couple more to go. And we'll avoid these vortexes, because I don't want to void out again. Maybe I'll put my iron boots here. So there's some instances where you don't want to be... Whoa, okay, I'm not sure what's going on with the camera there. We can actually just climb up here and take some shots at the target. Yeah, there's some instances where you don't want to be wearing the iron boots because you'll be sucked more easily down the vortex. But yeah. Okay. Can you not hit these from... Surely I can hit this from this angle. Cool. Okay, I'm not gonna waste all my arrows, but... Huh. Maybe it does have to be dead on? Let me have a look. I mean, this is obviously the intended spot to shoot it, because then it's just, you know, straight ahead. Just going to make sure I've got my hook shot, because in a second we'll have to do a rapid hook shot maneuver. Okay, that worked. I'm not sure what I was doing there. It opens up the chest. So we can hook shot over there, if I line it up. Actually, there's nothing... I didn't want to go through and have it close behind me in case there was something we needed to get there. But I'm pretty sure I remember where all the skulltulas are in here. We've already got two, so we'll see. But yeah, grabbing this gives us yet another small key. Awesome. And we can take our boots off now, because the next room, this will drop us back in that vortex room with the dragon underwater. So we return back to kind of the main part of the dungeon, but upgraded with our long shot, which is awesome. So let's head back here. And now we can kind of make our way... Well, Tektites. We can make our way through the dungeon to the areas we couldn't reach before, which is great. Although before we do much of that, I'm going to make sure I'm going to grab that skulltula in the hookshot platform room before I forget about that one. Because that way is all the top. Yeah, which is cool. Let's not pull out our hookshot. Let's take off our iron boots. And we float all the way up. Yeah, I just love... one thing that I don't think I've talked about so far is the music of this place. It's kind of these descending notes that sound like water droplets, but then mixed with this kind of... I don't know, it's the kind of music that would be on, you know, in like a massage parlor or a spa. So relaxing. Keys again. Get rid of those. and grab this, which we will be able to grab from here. So this really shows the range of the long shot, because there's no chance the hook shot would have got there. I mean, it said in the description, didn't it, that it was that it was double the length of the hook shot. So that's awesome. Yeah, we can reach now this, which is number 72, which is awesome. So we can head back through here. So now our goal is to do one more loop through the water temple. So we'll head all the way to the bottom, because we want to get back to that first water switch. So we need to... Okay, I thought I was going to get spiked then. I'm going to land on them, aren't I? I've got no other options. Okay. Alright. Yeah, we want to change the water twice now. So we want to get through to the first water switch we did, cycle it all the way back to the bottom, so we can enter the central column and change it to the middle level, just because we want an extra small key, so we can head back through to the area where the boss key is. And then, finally, the water temple will be done. So, it was up here. Is this switch. So again, this is something that's, you know, it's been a little while since we were here. So it's the kind of thing that you could forget where this switch is, and it involved, you know, it will involve a lot of searching through the rooms, and it's one of those, you know, I can fully understand why, especially if you're playing this, you know, back in the 90s where this came out, there's no internet or anything, you'd not played it before. Yeah, this is a really tough Zelda dungeon to work your way through. Yeah, let's head into the central column, because actually I forgot there's also a sculpture in there that we couldn't reach before with our basic hook shot, but now we can. So we can do this wherever it is. Oh, it's behind me. Hook shot up here. Okay, awesome. Line it up wrong and take loads of damage from spikes. That's what you meant to do in that area. Hop up here. A little bit of Zelda's Lullaby. And that is the final time we'll change the water? No, penultimate time we'll change the water in the water temple. You know, we're approaching the end now. It's our final circuit. But now, with the long shot, we can... it's all the way up here, isn't it? Yeah, we can reach this very high up target. Awesome. So satisfying to get, even though it's a little bit of a, you know, boring, nothingy item, because it's just a better version. It's a better version of, like, one of the coolest items in Ocarina of Time. So, you know, I'm not too upset about it. But that done, we can head out here, where there were some areas that we couldn't do anything about before. So, for example, there is that, but there's this. So before, we could have shot this eye, but it wouldn't have done anything, because when you shoot the eye, this gate opens, but only for a very small amount of time. So you don't have long enough to swim over there. You need to hook shot over, but the hook shot wouldn't reach. But it allows us to do that, which is cool. So we reach these tunnels. Okay, so this is the room with the block. Or I suppose the tunnel with the block, I guess. This is quite cool. So this is like a mini backtracking puzzle. So we have to move this block, and then we'll have to loop all the way back round. Yeah, the block's in... Oh, wait, I'm being dumb. There'll be a hookshot target. I was like, I thought I'd trapped myself down here. But yeah, it's cool. So we'll have to do that. We move that block, and then we have to loop all the way back round. Now the block is in a different position, and we'll be able to move it. Yeah, screw you. Tektite, how'd you like it now you're blue? He's woken up. Okay. But yeah, let's head all the way back round. Come here. Big swing. Go on, big Goron sword you. Of course, I'm on the upper level. I was completely, you know, stuck. I was like, why am I up here? See, there you go. I've got completely confused, and I've done what I said I wouldn't. I've lost my bearings in the water temple. There you go. Yeah, as is tradition. Okay, here it is. There you go. So we can do this again. We pop the eye, and then do our rapid long shot. Yeah, still, even though I know I've got enough time, that the kind of clock ticking sound is so stressful. Because now we're able to push that. So it's a cool little puzzle. You know, you have to loop around twice, which, you know, I've always liked. We can hop up here and finally grab another small key, which will allow us to enter the final section of the dungeon, which is all the way at the bottom. and that's where the boss key lies, which allows us to enter the boss chamber, where the source of all these water-related issues lies, which is cool. Let's pop Iron Boots back on. So it's kind of a dungeon of cycles. Yeah, it's kind of... I can see them coming for me. It's kind of, you do the same things in kind of little repetitions. You know, with the water, it's kind of you'll go through a cycle of the 3 different water levels. Then you do various things. You get an items. Then you can go through the cycles again with more rooms opened. And yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, every time I go back through it, it's because it's not the kind of place where I'm going to get completely lost, because I've played this quite a lot. But it is one of those things where I can completely understand. And you know, I got lost the first time I played this, of course. You know, because it isn't very clear in the way it's laid out. Let's try and thread the needle and not get tech-tited. Am I going to get tech-tited? Oh, okay, right, it's fine. We made it. We're all good. We're on the other side. So this is a cool little puzzle, similar to the one we just did, where we had a little bit of backtracking. This one's full of... what are these guys? Are these stingers, I think? Yeah, we had these in Jabby Jabu. Annoying little things, little rays. And there's quite a few of them, so we'll try and get rid of those. Yeah. But here there's a couple of odd-coloured walls. So there's one there, which makes a funny sound. And one all the way over here does the same thing. Because on the bottom there's a switch that we need to keep pressed down. So we need to find something to keep it held. So we can head through here. And I think we do this side first, because we want to push it all the way down to that thing. So we'll hop up here. Where's it gone? Here it is. And push it all the way down here, just so we can grab it from the other side and get it to depress that switch. But yeah, I don't feel that a Zelda dungeon being complicated or difficult or whatever is in any way a problem. The whole point in traversing through these places is that you're undergoing either some sort of trial that's set out before you, like many of the dungeons in, say, Skyward Sword, or in this instance, it's you're Link. You're doing what others cannot. You're going to awaken the sages to fight alongside you against Ganondorf. And if it was just a very simple, straightforward dungeon every single time, and there was never any challenge or complexity, that's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, and it's not great in that way. I kind of feel that way about some dungeons in, say, Tears of the Kingdom, where, like, the water temple in that is, like, 5 minutes long. It's so simple. There's never any challenge at all, and I'd much rather have a dungeon like this, a long, complex, and yeah, even sometimes frustrating experience, rather than something that's just so easy, because it doesn't feel earned when you're kind of at the end of the water temple, say in Tears of the Kingdom, being congratulated. It doesn't feel like you've earned it, whereas this really does. Let's grab this sculpture anyway, which is number 74. Very nice. We can head... Not do that. Let's, this kind of Temple of Doom area. Let's not get hit by a rolling boulder. But yeah, now we can head down here for another one of these secret areas, and a bloody clam as well. But yeah, again, like, that's... Not only is this labyrinthian and it has these cycles that I've been talking about, it also has a lot of these areas that's so easy to miss. That little underwater tunnel, that a lot of people would have got the sculpture and gone the other way, because it's very, very difficult to spot that. But it's an important item. It's not one you can skip. That's the boss key, which will allow us to enter Morpha's chamber. So let's head back now. I wonder, because with the I hate these guys. With the vortexes that were in the underground river, they spawn you back in the room that you entered. But I really want to say that there are some in the water temple that spawn you back at the dungeon entrance. I'm not sure if this one does. I might try it. We'll do. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Well, I've ended up this way anyway. Let's see. No. Okay, I'm back. Alright. That wasn't the incredible speedrun strat I hoped it'd be. And that's positioned me all the way back here. Okay, so I've lost some time with that little maneuver. That's not done what I wanted it to. But anyway, yeah, now the only thing remaining to do is get back to the main room, raise the water level one final time so we can reach that top level. But now we have the long shot and the boss key. There's nothing stopping us from entering Morpha's chamber, which is cool. So basically at the end, we've done all the confusing bits. Now it's just kind of, you know, the home stretch, which feels quite nice. Let's head out here. I won't miss pausing every 5 seconds. I bet you guys are getting a little bit sick of the Ocarina of Time pause sound effect. But yeah, like I said at the start, that's not something that the Switch remake's going to suffer from at all. You know, there's Ocarina of Time 3D solved it by just having more buttons that you can assign things to, and the Iron Boots being something you can assign to buttons rather than something on the gear subscreen. Okay, we're back in the room with our friend. I'm gonna lie in wait. Come on, buddy. Come on. There we go. Right, serves you right. Yeah, okay, let's do this. But yeah, the remake definitely won't suffer in the same way as this game does. And it's something that, yeah, like I said, the developers themselves were aware of this being a little bit tedious. You know, the constant pausing throughout this. It's similar to, you know, if you go back and play the original Link's Awakening, which in many ways still holds up fantastically well. But then there's things like, you know, you have to constantly pause to put on the power bracelet to move every rock or you know, whatever, which just isn't satisfying now, and the remake doesn't have those issues. But that's the thing, despite how infuriating this place can be and difficult to traverse, it's like that's contrasted with it being one of the most beautiful environments in the game, with this beautiful, peaceful music. If that's the fairy, what's in there? Oh, another fairy. Do you want another? Why not? I mean, I'm not rather than an empty bottle. Let's have another fairy. I don't think Morpha's not really the most difficult of bosses, but you know, we'll have some fairies. Why not? Let's head up here. A couple more spike traps to be dealing with. Okay. This is a matter of timing. Have we done it? Have we done it? We've done it. Okay. At the boss door, let's head through. Link, look out! That isn't normal water over there. So, interestingly, that line appears to be from Navi. You know, that's the kind of thing she'd say. But Navi's text is usually blue in these kind of instances. This text is white. And I believe the Japanese of that makes it clear who's actually speaking there. It's not Navi, it's Ruto. Which is really cool that she's speaking to you there. So even though we can't see her, she is still aiding Link. But again, this is another one of these awesome kind of boss point of view camera things here. Here it is. Not one of the most intimidating bosses, but this is the giant aquatic amoeba, Morpha. So let's see what Navi has to say about it. If I can target it? Where have you gone? Come here. Morpha, master of the water temple. It has absolute control of water. Pull out its nucleus and attack it. So yeah, this is what has been causing all of the water-related catastrophes. This is frozen Zora's domain. This has poisoned the water temple. Perhaps created ice cavern. And it's this tiny little... Oh, I didn't quite reach. This tiny little nucleus, which apparently has complete control over water. Come here. Are you coming? There we go. Yeah, so we need to pull this out of its watery limbs. Okay, come on. A little bit of a janky boss battle, this one. You can trap it. You can kind of pin it against the wall. Actually, wait, I'm going to wait for it to regain its arms, because I want to show what happens if it grabs me. There we go. It kind of wraps its tendril around us, picks us up, and in a second it throws us across the room, which is really, really cool. Yeah, not one of my favourite bosses in Ocarina of Time, but still pretty cool. And it's interesting that it has complete control over water, because that puts into context a load of stuff. Thank you, Navi. A load of stuff that we have, seen throughout this, especially, perhaps Dark Link, considering that Dark Link is a reflection, and reflections are something that water creates. Something like Morpha, which apparently has let's not do that, complete mastery over water, could create reflections. So perhaps Dark Link is a creation of Morpha as well. Or maybe it's something that's more innate to the Water Temple, which is a place of reflections and meditation for the Zora. But let's get Morpha out again. Come on. Where are you? Don't grab me. Need to target. Okay, surely like one more hit, maybe? Yeah, you can trap it, which is quite nice. You can kind of pin it against the wall. But even if you don't do that, it's not too difficult. It's just a little bit difficult sometimes to line up. Okay. You go up in your little arm. Don't grab me. There we go. If I grab you now? No. There we go. And there we have it. The nucleus of Morpha has been attacked, sliced by Big Goron Sword, and it bursts into little droplets of water. But yeah, this whole pool here apparently wasn't water, but was the special water that was formed by Morpha. Something that it used to create these tendril-like limbs. Anyway, it vanishes into a tiny little stream of droplets, and one final droplet bursts and creates the temple exit portal, allowing us to finally escape the water temple. But where's our heart container? I don't want to go in the portal without that. Here it is. Nice. You've collected 6 containers, and we have 15. Let's head through here and escape the water temple and return to the surface. So, like the others, the water temple is a gateway to the sacred realm. And that's how Ganondorf's power has been leaking out into Hyrule. That's how Morpha was created. That's how Morpha's power was affecting everywhere. Zora's Domain and the Ice Cavern. It was pouring out from the sacred realm, which he corrupted. But anyway, here's Princess Ruto. Link. I would have expected no less from the man I chose to be my husband. Zora's Domain and its people will eventually return to their original state. As a reward, I grant my eternal love to you. Well, that's what I want to say, but I don't think I can offer that now. I have to guard the water temple as the Sage of Water. And you're searching for the princess, Zelda. Ha! You can't hide anything from me. Princess Zelda, she's alive. I can sense it, so don't be discouraged. I can tell that nothing will stop you in your quest for justice and peace. You must take this medallion. Take it respectfully. And Ruto grants us the Water Medallion, which, much like the Forest Medallion, bears a strange emblem given its element, because in development the Water Temple was originally an Ice Temple, so that snowflake design makes a lot of sense there. And I suppose the Ice Cavern and its puzzles could be a leftover from that. If you see Sheik, please give him my thanks, okay? So we return to Lake Hylia, and the water levels rise. The curse has been broken. As the water rises, the evil is vanishing from the lake. Link, you did it! Did Ruto want to thank me? I see. We have to return peace to Hyrule for her sake too, don't we? Look at that, Link. Together, you and Princess Ruto destroyed the evil monster. Once again, the lake is filled with pure water. All is as it was here. Lake Hylia's returned to its original, beautiful state. What a great little cutscene there, just Link and Sheik just taking it in. Before, as is tradition for her, or him, he vanishes and dives into Lake Hylia, and then he's gone. At least he didn't stun us this time. Well, with Morpha defeated and the Water Temple restored, that's where we're going to end this episode. So thank you all so much for watching. If you like this, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content, and I'll see you guys next time.